the presentation now? Okay, cool.
Yes.
So hi, good morning. Hi, good morning, everyone. Sunil Garg here. So Rachit gave me only 30 minutes, so I'm going to quickly speed through the content here. I have 27 slides, but yes, I'll need more than 2 minutes per slide, so which means I don't have enough time. So I'll quickly rush through. So quickly we'll cover, approach to convergence. I think some of you must have already seen, those slides, but I still wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about that if there are new members joining today, just to level set and just to reiterate the same message. So I'll spend a couple of minutes there, and then we'll try to quickly understand what happened and what is happening in one admin, one developer, one user space from a convergence perspective. And we can have a short Q&A if we have time. So, what is convergence and what is the motivation? What are we trying to solve together? When we say convergence. So if we, take a step back, what we are trying to solve is not a new problem. I mean, this scenario set and these challenges has existed since the time we know, ERP, and since the time we know sales and marketing and all these different applications. And the reality is customers always had these multiple applications in their environment, and they always had the business processes that span these multiple applications. So that is not new, but the challenge and the problem always existed for how we can integrate these applications so that the business process also naturally spans these various applications and users don't have to switch between applications. So the problem has always existed, and our ecosystem, all of you are ISVs, partners, and customers. Somehow they found a way to figure things out and customize and try to solve one way or the other. So what we are trying to do now is, it's an acknowledgement from Microsoft side that yes, that is a problem space. We should actually have something out of the box where it's much more easier for various applications, at least the Dynamics applications, to be talking to each other right off the bat, so that such cross-application business processes are much more aligned and integrated, right out of the box. So that is the reason why convergence is now a big focus from Microsoft perspective, and that is what is being tried to solve. Now, convergence is a very broad topic, and the scope of convergence is too broad. So what we are trying to also see is how can we express this convergence in one short line so that customers are able to understand that, so that anyone that we all talk to, it should just resonate right away. So which is why we have coined this one liner that says one admin, one user, and one developer, right? Because when we look at convergence from a persona perspective is truly this, which is when a user is working in finance and operation, and that same user is working in sales or marketing or field service, their experience should be the same, consistent experience. They should not really feel that they are working in one application versus the other. From their perspective, they could care hardly less about what application it is. It's about how can I get my job done fast and efficiently and in a much more delightful manner. So as long as we can make sure that the one user comes together from an experience standpoint, then convergence would have met its objective. Similarly, from an admin perspective, there are, theoretically, there are like 4 different admin variations here. One is the admin that manages LCS. One is the admin that manages similar things on PPAC. One is the admin that manages finance and operation application. And one is the admin that manages, data wars or, sales application and whatnot. Now, can we bring these administrative experiences also in one experience? Can we converge there? So that is where one admin comes into play. And then last but not the least, our developer community, our developer ecosystem also needs to have the same tool set, for example, or consistent tool set when they are developing applications for, say, finance and operation versus sales or marketing. It shouldn't be, different tool sets for each of the application. Instead, if a finance and operation developer is used to working in Visual Studio IDE, then why not allow or enable our developer community to also work in the same environment for doing plugins for Dataverse, for example, because that is where the convergence is happening. So which is why one admin, one user, and one developer truly captures the essence of convergence, and that is why we are sharing that message with all of you. Now, approach to convergence, again, I'll quickly repeat. Be opportunistic, don't rewrite, right? And these are the principles for Microsoft, for us, and also for everyone that we talk to as a guidance, which is the ask is not to go and rewrite what has been done, because that is the most inefficient way of adding value to customers. But let us be very mindful and let us be very deliberate with the knowledge that we have, the knowledge that we are learning every day as to what is happening in convergence. What is virtual entities? When should we use it? What is dual write? When should we use it? Etc. etc. And then any new development that we do, that should be using the latest tools and technologies so that we are aligned with the direction, with the roadmap. Similarly, this cannot happen in one wave or two wave or one release. This will be a multi-year journey. So it will be a crawl, walk, and run approach. So that is kind of setting the expectation for us internally and also with all of us that you will see an incremental progress as opposed to one big bang saying that, hey, now we are done with convergence. The third bullet is basically it's kind of related to the previous topic or previous point, which is new work should align to the roadmap and to the direction, as opposed to going and rewriting what has been done already. And last but not the least, X++ investments will continue the way it has been going on. So if there are any concerns from that perspective, that is something we wanted to just address right at the outset. And then I'll quickly hurry up here. This is a technological slice on convergence, right? In the previous slide, we talked about what convergence means from a persona perspective. That was a scenario-centric approach, a user-centric approach. Here, it is a technical slice, meaning convergence will happen in every slice of the technology stack in Power Platform and also in finance and operations. So data and events, as you are probably aware, things are happening and things will continue to happen in this space from an integrations perspective for how we can converge more naturally out of the box. Similarly, we talked about admin scenarios. That is where the security, authentication, and authorization comes into play. There will be opportunities to converge on that front as well. Similarly, storage. I'll talk about some of the scenarios we are working on that front. So I'll quickly jump to the last two slides, which is Power Apps, Admin Center, LCS, PPAC, extensibility. All of these areas will have scenarios where we will be converging based on the use cases and opportunities. So let's quickly understand what has, what is going on in one admin space. Now, as we know, when customers deploy environments, we really want an experience where it is a one-click deployment, and then behind the scene, a converged environment is what gets deployed. So this is what has been released earlier this year in LCS, if you remember. There is Power Platform integration that is enabled, and that actually gets us the environment deployed together for FNO and Dataverse, as opposed to two different clicks and two different experiences. Now, what this gets us is basically off the bat, the required solutions, the required glue is already established on the platform so that customers don't have to go and install virtual entity solutions separately versus dual write solutions separately. Instead, everything is right there and everything is already linked and plumbed for us to start using it. Now, I'll quickly skip this in the interest of time. This is an interesting slide. So, and please take all these timelines with a grain of salt. This is our internal planning slide. We are just sharing from a transparency perspective. The plan is somewhere, after 2023, somewhere between 2023 and 2024 is when, we expect LCS to be kind of deprecated and all the functionality should be and will be in PPAC, and PPAC becomes the admin center, if you will, for finance and operations as well. And then after some time, LCS will slowly wean out. So that is yeah, exactly. So that is the key message out of this slide. So please take some time to kind of digest this. And this is again, almost a year and a half away. And this is all subjected to what progress and how much progress we are able to make in moving functionality from LCS to PPAC. And if that gets delayed, then this gets delayed as well. But in principle, it should be expected that we will be looking at a time where PPAC becomes the admin center for finance and operation as well, and LCS will slowly start taking a backseat. Now let's quickly jump into one developer. Now, from a one developer perspective, as we mentioned in the initial slides, the idea is let's have a consistent tool set, let's converge on the tool set, and let's also make it easy for developers to get an environment where they can develop on a converged platform, right? Today, a developer gets a FNO environment separately, a developer gets a Dataverse environment separately. They go through like a 20-step process that we have published to kind of link these two environments and then do the development and somehow generate the code packages for FNO separately, from Dataverse separately, then go and deploy them separately. There's a lot of hoops our developers have to jump today to make this work. So the idea is we want to rethink of how a developer environment looks like for a converged platform. And I'll quickly jump to, this is today's architecture, as we all know, right? But the future architecture that the work has already started is basically have a cloud environment. If you remember, and maybe all of you know that, the developer environment for Dataverse is a cloud environment, a true cloud environment, whereas for FNO, we have VM-based, developer environments. So the idea is let's have a true cloud developer environment, just like a sandbox, for example, right? And the sandbox today is pre-connected using the Power Platform integration. Well, the same thing should apply to a developer environment also, where the developer can say, hey, I want a Power Platform integration enabled dev environment. And then behind the scene, the environments get deployed just like sandbox. There's no difference except for some additional tooling that is available to enable developments, right? So that is the idea here, and the work has started. So, we should expect something to share with all of you in the first quarter of next year, or at least sometime in April, May timeframe, where we would want all your help to come and help us validate and work with us through a preview program and whatnot. So stay tuned for that information. So now from a one user perspective, things that has been recently shipped and generally made available. As you all know, last year, virtual entities were made available for finance and operations. In July, we increased the number of legal entities that can be supported in dual write from 50 to 250. And then in October, a couple of months ago, business events and card events or data events for finance and operations through Dataverse was made generally available. So this now opens up the doors where Dataverse connector for Power Automate and Logic apps will be available for finance and operations scenarios as well, which means sometime next year, we should expect finance and operations connector to be deprecated, right? We will announce the deprecation of finance and operations connector as well. Once we make sure that functionally the Dataverse connector is on par with finance and operations scenarios, and then we have converged on the connector ecosystem from that perspective, right? And then this also enables extensibility using C# plugins on Dataverse for finance and operations, because now you will be able to execute business logic when something happens in finance and operation, either via business events or data events, and the logic can execute on Dataverse, right? So this is additional tooling that is now available for our developers to have a choice as to how should I do my extensions. So this is one step closer to where we want to be. Now, here is a quick demo. I will come back to the demo if we have time, but for now, let me quickly skip. So what is next in one user from a Dataverse platform perspective? So the first scenario is a very important scenario, and we will need all your help, right? But not right now. Maybe in 3 to 4 months' time, I will, reach out and we will have conversations more in this. But what we are working on is today, when a developer wants to write a business logic that actually spans both the platform. Like, for example, if I start a transaction in X++, and then I also want to go and do some write operations in sales application in Dataverse, and then I want to come back into X++, and then I want to continue the transaction, and then commit the transaction, then if the transaction is successful, it should commit on both sides. But if the transaction fails, it should roll back on both sides so that it truly behaves like one platform, right? And there is no data inconsistency problem. The developers don't have to think if I'm writing this logic for FNO or for Dataverse, and if I'm doing it for both, how do I manage this myself? I mean, it is not possible for a developer to manage this in an efficient manner, right? So basically what we are looking at is to enable one transaction on one platform, because if we don't have one transaction, then we cannot truly say that the platforms have converged, because then the platform are actually behaving in two different ways. Instead, it has to be like a truly one platform. So what a little bit more technical details here, just to enable some food for thought, as we conclude the session. So what we are looking at is to converge the databases, right? So today we have finance and operation database, which is AXDB in a separate, server, a separate, Azure SQL. And then we have our sales and marketing database sitting somewhere else in a physically different Azure SQL. So the idea is we want to bring finance and operation into the same database physically, so that the finance and operations schema sits in the same database alongside with sales, field service, marketing, and all of the Dataverse schema. What that will allow us to do is to enable one transaction using native SQL capability itself, so that we don't have to do anything different. We don't have to write some additional code to make it work, but we can just use the native SQL capability itself. Now, it is easier said than done. It is one of the hardest problems that we have started to look into. It will take time, and we will need all the help from you. So it is a request to start thinking about it, and we will be having a lot of discussion in this topic, and we will be asking for a lot of help for you to help us validate. So that is one of the major scenarios that we are working on. And the second key scenario is, now that business events are available in Dataverse, it will be available from finance and operations, from sales, from marketing, from field service, and even third-party external applications, right? Because business events and CUD events are available for external applications also. So which means Salesforce, SAP, Oracle, all these external applications can send their events to Dataverse now. So it puts us in a very unique opportunity where we can now derive insights into a business process, right? We can now go and give this information to our customers that, look, the opportunity was confirmed 3 days ago, and the sales quotation is getting created like 10 days later, right? So which means the turnaround time for an organization to create a sales quotation from the time the opportunity was closed is almost 2 weeks or 3 business weeks. Is that efficient enough, or is that not good? We need to derive these insights and start giving it and surfacing it for our customers. So similarly, so when we think about this, it's actually a very strong concept. especially when we think about doing this across a business process that spans multiple applications, right? Whether it is first-party applications or whether it is first-party plus third-party, because we have those events now, we can know when was the opportunity created, when was the opportunity confirmed, when was the sales order created, when was the sales order picked, packed, shipped, when was the invoice posted, when was the payment done, right? So we can derive a ton of insights into a business process to understand the productivity metrics, to understand the performance metrics of an organization, and we can enable a lot more capability using this, right? So that is the second scenario. And again, we will need a lot of help. We are making faster progress on this scenario than the previous scenario because of the nature of complexity. So we may want your help sooner on the second scenario to help us kind of keep us on the track from a design perspective and also help us validate and share your scenarios. So please ping me offline and we'll be happy to connect and we can take this forward. Now, from a Power Apps perspective, from a very high level, I know I have 4 minutes, so I'll try to quickly cover. What we are, I'll actually cover this slide. This slide is important. So what we are doing is, right now, it is possible to pin UCI apps in finance and operation. That functionality is available. It is being refined and tweaked, but we can do that today. The second thing that we want to do and we are working on, and sometime next year this will be available, is the reverse, which is we should be able to pin X++ forms into UCI so that we can enable such experiences sooner than later. And then the third one is, the PCF controls that are available for Power Platform, those PCF controls should also be available for finance and operations, so that one time we invest in a PCF control and it can be used everywhere, right? And then as we increase the usage of PCF controls in finance and operation UI will naturally come closer and closer to Power Platform. So it's a very natural progression and nothing artificial that we have to do. So that is at a very high level that we are working on from a Power Apps perspective. And from a dual write standpoint, I'll quickly skip this. I think we all know about dual write. This is the important slide. I mean, most of the business processes and entities that were planned has been delivered from a dual write perspective. There are last few entities that have been worked on, which is primarily from an activities perspective. So once that, that will be also completed based on the plan that we have here. So that is the work that is being done in dual write, in addition to all the fundamentals work, which is performance and stability and reliability. That is a continuous investments from our perspective. So those are the areas that we are working on dual write. So I am happy that I was able to cover in 28 minutes or 25 minutes. I got actually 5 minutes late from Rachit, so I still have 2 minutes. So I'll open up for any questions if there are.
Any questions, guys? Anyone has any question? I think, Sunil, what you have shown is really, as you said, food for thought. It will keep us awake at night to think about what's going to happen. And we are there to help and test drive and take this forward. So let us know how the community can help in bringing these features to GA, and happy to see. If you want to show us some demo, please go ahead. We will continue with the Power BI session.
I'll play this. I'll play this. And then I have an ask, which I will talk about after this.
Sorry, it's not playing, Sunil.
Can you all hear?
No, we can't hear.
Can anyone hear?
We can hear you talking, but not the video.
Okay. Okay. So I'm not sure what is happening. So let us not spend time on that. But
Sorry,
I mean, you can
maybe.
view.
Sorry, maybe if somebody just play on the button, if you are seeing that video, if you click on play, maybe you can, hear it. It
Yeah,
will.
that works. Yeah, maybe we all can click at the same time. Let's spend 3 minutes, look at the demo, and then we can come back.
So I'm able to play it. I'm not sure why, but I'm able to play this.
Okay, so let's all play. I mean, on local, let's all play that. Is the demo complete now for all?
Almost. Just
Okay.
30 more seconds. Yeah.
I'll wait.
I think they've nearly finished.
Yeah, so it is finished actually.
Finished
Okay.
for all.
Okay. Okay. So that was a quick, a short demo to kind of showcase what is available now and how these different technologies, right from Power Portals to Power Apps to virtual entities and business events and CUD events and Power Automate and Teams, every in singular technologies coming together to enable this end-to-end scenario. And that's the convergence that we are looking at. So the last ask I had is, and I was kind of brainstorming with Rachit as well. We are thinking of doing a hackathon for platform convergence, and at a very high level, what this will mean is, we will request for participation, where ISVs, partners, and customers can basically participate and build apps. It can be a 1 week of hackathon where we build apps and we then showcase the apps, and then we can have, if the first one is successful, then we can have this as a regular rhythm. So that way, and this will be based on the technologies that are GA, right? So this is different from the preview workshop that we do because the objectives are different. So here the objective will be to educate, learn, create awareness, and at the same time spend time to do hands-on and showcase the applications that everyone is building. Is that a good idea? Will there be participation? What do you think the community will react?
Great idea.
I mean,
okay. Okay, so I mean, we haven't figured out the logistics yet, and all the mechanics for doing this, but we can certainly use help. If you guys have any ideas for how we can make it effective, right? And I'll be happy to discuss offline as well with any of you that is interested to kind of partner with us and kind of help us in this process as well. So send me messages offline if you're interested. Then we can I can invite you to our meetings where we discuss this, and you can actually help us, advise and whatnot. So with that, Rachit, I'll hand off to you, and thanks all. It was great talking to you all again. And back to you, Rachit.
thanks, Sunil. It was great listening to you as always. A lot of insights which you have shared, and I'm excited about next year. All these features becoming GA and how we can help to bring them to GA is something definitely will be an interesting journey. So if people who wants to participate, please feel free to reach out to Sunil or myself. I can share some more links. We can create some forms where people can express their interest in participation in hackathon, and maybe we can use that to drive it forward. But thanks a lot, Sunil. I'll just share my screen.